Why do we use ones when we're doing indices in maths? This is just a little quick discussion video. Well, 7 to the 1 is just 7. Why is that? Well, we can think of it as a progression. 7 squared is 49. 7 to the 1 is 7. And 7 to the 0, by the way, is 1. Not that we need to worry about that too much. But the idea is 7 squared is 7 times 7. And the squared is just telling you to times 2 of them together. 7 cubed would be 7 times 7 times 7. There'd be 3 of them. And 7 to the 1, therefore, whoops. And therefore, 7 to the 1 is just 7. Because it's kind of like a tally of how many 7s you want. Anyway, what's x to the minus 1? That would be 1 over x. 1 over x. Lots of ways of thinking about that. Let's not worry about it in this video, but we kind of take that for granted. But what if we got rid of the 1? Well, in that case, it would just say x to the minus. Well, so there's a lot of control, these things are kind of lost in the history of maths, but maybe the reason we write a 1 is so that we can tell that it isn't just a little mark on the page. Because if you saw this, it's like, oh, did the pen slip, or does that actually mean x to the minus? So the 1 doesn't do anything, it just tells us that, yeah, make it into a fraction, but don't do anything else. Let's look at this x to the half. That means square root of x. Because if the 2's on the bottom of the fraction, it means it's a root. If you have trouble remembering that, think of like a tree, the roots are on the bottom. Anyway, what if I got rid of the 1? Then I'd be writing x to the 2, wouldn't I? Or maybe, I suppose you could put a line there. And again, I think it's just confusing, and it's like, well, what was supposed to be there? But if you write a 1, it's like, there's nothing to see here, don't worry about it, just forget about the top, just the 2's important. So the 1 is kind of like saying, there's nothing to see here, you don't need to do anything. And again here, this is cube root of x because that's what the 3 means, and the 1, it's like, there's nothing to see here, don't worry about the top, just ignore it. Another way that 1 is useful, I think, to put this question, depends on how you do it, but if you think of it as x to the a divided by x to the b equals x to the a minus b, then it kind of helps maybe to just put a 1 there, even though you don't need it, because then you know it's x to the 1 minus 4, which is x to the minus 3. By the way, I'd always encourage doing that line of working before writing the final answer. Helps stop silly mistakes.